Ladies and gentlemen, the moment is finally here. Finally! I've been kind of talking about this a little bit throughout the past handful of recordings and videos, but we finally have the biggest update that Crampions has ever seen, Early Access Update 5. This brings about so many major things that the community has been asking for, and that in general, just make a game even more replayable than it already is. So let's get into the patch notes and talk about the most important things here in this update. Here it is. And as you can see on the top of the screen, we've got ranks. We have medals in a single-player roguelike game. Pretty cool stuff. And as you'll see, we will explain that a little bit. It's been a while since the last update, and that it has. If we look at a dev update 4 for early access, it was in late April. It is now mid-June. June 17th. Anyway, let's get into it. Difficulty modifiers. You guys, if you're a certified gamer like your boy, then you know all about Halo Lasso. Legendary, all skulls on. Skulls in the Halo campaign are like little modifiers. Enemies have more health, or you have less health, or ammo, or armor, or all these other things. Obviously, that's a gross oversimplification. And we have that now in Crampions. So we now have Namo, as I am deciding it is called. Not just me, the whole community in the Discord has decided to call it Namo. Nightmare, all modifiers on. You don't have to play with the modifiers in Nightmare. You can choose them on easy, normal, Nightmare, and there's all these different modifiers. We've got random islands. Islands are not in a set order. You can have an elite fight on Island 2, and I've done that plenty of times. Regenerating enemies. Enemies regenerate their health after not receiving damage for a certain amount of time. I think it's like a solid 3 seconds, maybe even 5. So it's not too crazy, but it does get overwhelming for sure. Locked slots. So remember, the inventory slots were sometimes they were locked in different updates, sometimes they were unlocked. Now, for the main build, they are unlocked unless you have the locked slots modifier. Buffed enemies. There are various different buffs like Speedy, which is just like crazy fast movement speed. There's Healthy buff, which is just really high health. There's Enraged, where they're just shooting really, really fast and really aggressive. Probably a couple other ones in there. You'll see that on pretty much any enemy, although I do not think that elites or bosses can have them. Manual collection. You have to get within a much smaller radius or range of crystals to pick them up. They don't just auto-collect for you. You got to run near them and pick them up. Double challenge. Challenge islands will have 2 challenges at once, so it's not just one hit. It'll be 1 hit plus mirror projectiles, or elemental explosions plus homing thorns. I mean, it is not easy at all. Resurrecting enemies. Enemies have a small chance to spawn copies of themselves when they die. So sometimes you'll take out like a fire crab, and all of a sudden, boom, 3 more fire crabs spawn. I think the amount is 3, but it might be as many as 5. Or it might just be depending on the enemy. Like stronger enemies like fire crab might only respawn 3, but a typical slug or ice crab might respawn 5. I think that's probably how it works, but you'll have to check it out. Evolved enemies. This is a handful of new stronger enemy variants that you will only find if you check off this difficulty modifier. Things like minigun crabs, things like laser crabs, things like homing grubs. These enemies are very strong. They are very rare, but when you find them, my god. I think even barrel skulls, I'm not sure if that's an evolved enemy or if that's just in the game period. I know that there is a new elite variant that is a barrel skull variant, and that'll be in the game for everyone. And I think just finding them regular might be an evolved enemy. I'm not quite sure on that. Unfair bosses, elites, and bosses spawn double. So Elite Island 10, you're getting 2 of them. Boss fight, 2 of them. And then after that first loop, you get to, 30 plus, 31 plus. It's 3. It's pretty brutal. And in addition to that, and this is just a general statement here, is when you have 2 elites, like a dual elite fight on Island 40, or if you're doing unfair bosses, it could be like Island 20, it's not 2 of the same. I mean, it can be, but it's not guaranteed you got 2 fire crabs, right? 2 elite fire crabs. You could have an elite fire crab and the elite poison grub, right? So, pretty fun there. Eternal punishment. Taking damage removes max health. This was previously a thing with, I believe it might be Damage Seeker. Yep, damage increased by 250%, but lose 1% max health when taking damage. So that negative of the greed perk, Damage Seeker, is now just in the game. It's just part of the game as eternal punishment. Very brutal there. Volatile explosions. This has been a hotly debated one throughout the community, and it has been reworked a little bit, but ultimately what happens is that you no longer have damage immunity to certain explosive things like you would normally have. For example, slugs. They are about to explode and you melee them. Oh, you got it just in time. Psych, they still explode and you will still take damage. And you know why that's really important and really scary? The final difficulty modifier, no safety net. There is no more 1 health safety net. There's no more 1 HP protection. If you have 50 health and you go melee a slug and that slug explosion does 60 damage, you just die. That's it. You're done. I never realized how strong that 1 HP safety net was. So, the thing I skipped over, but we'll talk about it now. See how there's these point values? We've got plus 10 here. We got plus 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, 5, 5, 5. All of these add up to a total challenge level in the top right. And based on that total challenge level, if you get the win, you will receive the rank corresponding to that challenge level. And this rank attaches to the weapon that you use for the run. And then your average rank across all of your weapons will go to your player rank. So you basically, diamond is basically Namo, Nightmare, all modifiers on, is the same thing as diamond runs. You have to have all of them locked on to get 50, and if you're at exactly 50, then you get diamond. Now, for the first handful, I guess it's 2, 4, 6, all the way up to ruby, if you win on island 30, like a normal crown win, you will get the rank. But for diamond, you have to loop it and get to 60 in order to get the rank, to get the medal. So, now, it is no longer enough to get the gold skin and complete all the challenges, all the Steam achievements. Because 1, we have more Steam achievements just related to these challenges. And 2, you can now shoot for diamond account level, which is diamond on every weapon in the game, which means you've played Namo, Nightmare, all modifiers on with all 12 weapons in the game. That is the new goal for the best players in the community, and you know that I'll be grinding this for the next handful of weeks, maybe even months. It's gonna be tough. I've only played a couple runs here and there because I didn't want to, practice with various builds of the game in the beta builds that weren't finalized. I wanted to make sure that there's no point in practicing with a rule set that's not going to be the actual rules, because Volatile Explosions has been in the game, out of the game. Things like Evolved Enemies were not even in the game. Like, it was showing up on screen, but like checking it didn't actually do anything. So you got the points for it, but like it didn't actually do anything, right? So it just felt cheap to go grind that. Plus the ranks reset anyway going into this update. So the grind starts now, ladies and gentlemen. Each weapon gets a medal when winning. The medal award depends on the challenge level, which contributes to your overall count level seen next to your name in all games. So there it is. See in the top corner, Noisestorm. He's account level 1 and he has the little bronze emblem. And that is another thing. I don't know if it is listed anywhere else. It probably is, but we now have an account level, an account number, right? It's not the medal or the rank symbol. It is just a level. It goes up every, I believe, 1,000 score in game. And yeah, it just goes up. Bigger number, better person. Get that little dopamine hit. Get your level up as high as you can. A lot of people were well into 200, 300. I've seen people hit a level 1,000 during the beta period, or during the handful of weeks where this system was in the beta build of the game. And yeah, people are going to be grinding. All right, let's move on to another really big change here. No more cooldowns. Complete loot rebalance. There's a lot of rebalances in this patch, and as you'll see, I'm not going to cover every single one. There's a lot of stuff in here. Please, link in the description. Go to the Steam page, find this post, read through it. There's a lot of changes. But one of the biggest one in general is that a lot of the cooldown mods, I don't think 100% of them, some of the legendaries are still cooldown, but vast majority of cooldown mods where it was like Bubble Shot, 3-second cooldown, now it's chance based. Dagger Arc or Bubble Blast. Why did he call it Bubble Blast? It's Bubble Shot. Anyway, typo in his own thing, unless he renamed it, and then now I'm the asshole, you know? But these items are all reworked. And naturally, that percentage chance fluctuates by weapon, just like previous percent chance-based items. For example, Split Shot, right? Big fan of that one. That percentage chance on like rocket and sniper was really high, whereas like minigun it's really low. I think he rebalanced a lot of those too, but in general, everything, almost everything, is percent chance based. And I'm a huge fan. A lot of people, including myself, from the early days of the closed beta back in January and February 2023, we were asking, gross. We were asking, hey, we don't like the cooldowns. Kind of stupid, kind of goofy. Why isn't it just all chance based? We finally got it. So we'll see if it is here to stay, but it probably is, and it's good. It's a big positive change. We also got some physics-based destructibles. These are some fun items that have been added to the game. We have landmines. As you can see here, he melees it and then it goes and explodes. I believe it is a solid 2, maybe 3 second cooldown or delay before the mine actually explodes. And then we have these different barrels. There's a challenge related to it, homing barrels. They just kind of come after you. There are some items in the game like barrel grenade mod. And even, like I mentioned earlier, the barrel skull enemy fires out these barrels. They're also kind of all over in the spawn lobby island, so you can play and have fun with them. Shoot them, they go crazy. There's also a bigger barrel that you can hop inside and melee it, and you kind of fly around. Pretty goofy, but just a fun addition. Some QOL improvements. For example, Q is the auto default button, and I don't know what it would be on a controller, but there's auto loot. And as you can see here, boom, just kind of auto looting everything. Now, how does that actually work? Well, I don't know. I don't know. I believe it prioritizes the highest rarity loot and duplicates. So if you are someone who's going crazy for loot, you've got all these different perks that lead to many chests, and all of the chests are big chest level 10, and then you also have enemies having a chance to drop loot and driller, and you get done with island 212 and there's 75 pieces of loot to go through. It takes a while. That slows you down, and it's boring at times. So now you can just press a button, boom, it loots everything, salvages the rest, and you're good to go. Will it be everything you want? Will it be perfect? Probably not. But hey, if you're going for speed, auto loot is the move. Crystal amounts have been reworked. If you're in co-op, everyone gets the same amount now. Honestly, some people will definitely be a little bit annoyed at this, but I think it is what it is. No one can kind of hog all the crystals, and no one really falls behind. It's a team-based game at the end of the day. It's not supposed to be like super competitive among you and your co-op teammates, so I think that's fair. Okay, here's a fun one. Damage line of sight checks now ignore enemies. What this means is things like grenades, explosives, and melee will just damage everything within its radius, even if there's like technically something blocking. So if there's a line of 3 crabs in front of me, previously, you would melee and only hit the first one if it was perfectly blocked with line of sight. Now, they're all close. It'll just hit all 3. It'll just hit all 3, and that's fine. Now, with melee, you could always just kind of jump and melee from above, which is what I would typically do anyway, so I never really figured that this was that big of an issue, but I understand why he's doing it, and it's a good change. New XP system. For every 10,000 score you get in a run, you level up. So I misspoke earlier. I said 1,000. It's actually 10,000. This is another big one. I know I keep saying that, but this is no exaggeration. Perks that increase damage now also scale the damage of all damage sources. So there are things that proc. They used to be cooldowns maybe. Now they're percent based. Like he says, dagger, arc, or poison aura. Those damage numbers previously were not affected by something like gemstone, which increases your damage by 5% or 4% every island. Now that affects your other items. That means perk damage increases affect other perks and other weapon and grenade mods. That's huge. Now he did retweak a lot of the numbers so that it wasn't crazy overpowered, right? But overall, this is a buff to a lot of items that I would have previously said are pretty meh. Let's take Shotgun Blast, for example, or like he says, Dagger Arc. Dagger Arc was always way worse than Arc Shot. We can all agree on that. It just wasn't a lot of damage. It didn't scale very well. Now it's going to scale really well. It's going to be a completely different situation for a lot of these builds, and we're going to start to see that most items work most of the time now. Clearly, there's still going to be metas and builds that feed off each other the best, but I don't think certain items are going to be awful anymore. I think it's overall buffed a lot of things, so it'll be a fun one to play with. This is another fun one. When you aim the crossbow, the spread is actually tightened, kind of like the shotguns or really any other weapon in the game. Like cluster launcher, you shoot really spread out. Then you aim, pretty tight cluster. Same thing with the crossbow. Now we get into some of the specific items that were added. I talked about a few of these earlier, like the barrel explosion grenade mod, but we also have a new weapon mod, landmine shot. So when you land shots, it drops mines above their head. That's pretty fun. Yep, in the barrel we have rideable barrels, or sorry, in the lobby we have rideable barrels. Hop in and find Tony. There is a floating island in the lobby island, way up in the sky. Tony's up there. He's still not animated, but he is sitting there saying hi, so you can get up there if you crown launch really high or even melee with these rideable barrels. New challenge modifier, homing barrels, we talked about that. New destructible rock type, I did not talk about this yet. Max health rock, these are gold rocks. They kind of work like health rocks in a way that there's a small little zone. It doesn't last very long. You go inside, and instead of healing, your maximum health goes up. Very, very cool. Typically ends up adding, every tick is like 2 max health, and it does like 10 of them, about 20 max health maybe. I'm definitely just kind of guesstimating here. It's not a ton, but it does help, so pretty cool. Oh yeah, the gold skin is way brighter now. 3 new achievements and skins accompanying them. I believe these are just like, get a win with over 5 challenge modifiers or run modifiers, get a win on any difficulty with all of the modifiers on, and then get a win on Nightmare with all modifiers on, an ammo win. And all 3 of the skins are not animated, but they are 3 new unique skins, so definitely nice to see new skins each update. Balance changes, tons of things, you know, some things have been buffed, some things have been nerfed, like AR damage is up, orb launcher damage is up, grenade damage is up, bouncing shot has been tweaked. Actually, this is worth talking about. It used to be 4 bounces no matter what, and then the damage of each bounce would increase. Now the damage still goes up, but the shots increase the number of bounces as well, so you can truly get to the point where it's bouncing up to what, 255 times. Pretty cool change. Oh yeah, so the various combo modifiers or combo perks were, I'd say, pretty strong, especially crystal combo and damage combo. But he's not wrong. Reaching that level 5 combo took a lot of eliminations in a row without taking damage. So now it is 50 instead of 100 for level 3, 125 instead of 250 for level 4, and 225 instead of 500 for level 5. I like that. I like it. Although I'm pretty sure this might be a typo, because 50 is half of 100, 125 is half of 250, and then half of 500 would be 250, not 225. So I'm going to call him out. I think he mistyped here, but we'll see. Homing shot now has a much shorter homing range, which should prevent it from completely breaking the game. It's still powerful, but you kind of have to pay attention and actually make an effort to actually look at the opponents you're shooting at. So technically a nerf to homing shot. I don't think it's going to change the fact that this is still the best item in the game, but I'll have to test it out, see for myself. Poison has been reworked, so this is worth talking about. It used to be the most overpowered thing in the entire game, and if you wanted to go long runs, you had to get poison. Now, I still suggest getting poison, but it's not quite as unfair. The effect no longer affects damage from non-direct damage. For example, fire damage. So it's like if they were poisoned and then you inflicted fire, like that inflicted fire would be buffed by the poison. So that's not a thing. Only your actual direct damage is buffed by the poison. All right, let's kind of skim through and see if there are any other ones that are like super worth talking about. It's a lot of adjustments, balance changes. And while all of these things are fun, ultimately there's so many of them that you're gonna have to go and read these for yourself. Melee has more knockback strength. That'll be fun. Health rocks and max health rocks now scale their bonuses by 20% per island. That's actually huge. It was pretty funny having a health rock on like island 80, and it just like barely heals you. And it's like, okay, I need 20,000 more health, and you just give me like 200. Sick, thank you. So that'll be nice. It'll actually scale. Grave Dodger has been removed for now, as it was completely broken on high enough levels. Yeah, you could, when Grave Dodger was originally, you get down to 1 health, and then it's like you're invulnerable for 5 seconds, and then you level it up a little bit. And now it's like you're invulnerable for a minute. It's like that's a whole island. So he nerfed it in the beta build to be like, when you hit 1 health, you will heal for a certain amount, and then it's like you're running Namo. It literally only procced when you hit 1 HP, but there's no 1 HP safety net, so it's like you would just skip past 1 HP, you would never even get there anyway, and then it was like completely useless. Now he just took it out. I don't know. I never really abused it. I just used it. It's not really abuse. It was in the game. I didn't use it a lot, but now it's gone, so hey, whatever. Rest in piss, you know what I'm saying? He did buff the Ultra Mushroom spawn weight. We had a couple runs with him, and he got it on one of them, and he was like, wow, this is really fun. I feel like I never get this. And now everyone will get it more, so that's cool. Turrets have been buffed in a big way. I actually skipped it up here. The turret health, here it is. The health of turrets have been increased from 100 to 10,000. This is a W. Turrets just died. They sucked. If you haven't seen my turret army video that just went up a little bit before this one, chronologically, turrets are just shit. Or they were. Now at least they'll survive. They won't just die instantly. And I think down here it said, yep, turret projectile damage increased by 50%. And I know we talked to him, me and some of the guys who are closer to him, and he's going to eventually add more turret perks, things like crits and maybe even some other elements. So we'll see. Turrets are making their way into being like semi-usable. Oh, yeah. Here's another thing. Critical hits kind of reworked a little bit. Critical hit calculations were unintentionally extremely strong. Power Punch was multiplying the original critical hit multiplier, which I think I multiplied again by Mega Crit. This resulted in insane inflations to damage, when the multipliers should have been additive. So he nerfed critical hits, but what he really did is brought it in line with what makes more sense and fixed it. This, just like the poison changes, it doesn't make them not good. Like, if you're going on a long run, you still have to focus on criticals, and you still have to get poison. All the other elements do not scale long term like poison does, and it doesn't matter what you do with your damage. If you're not getting criticals and running a critical build, it'll never scale high enough. So just because they're not as broken as they used to be does not mean they are not still pivotal for long runs. All strike mods have their damage increased and their cooldowns reduced, but they still have cooldowns. So I think this is the kind of group of legendary items that I said probably still have cooldowns. It's the Fire Strike, Lightning Strike, Ice Strike, Poison Strike. These were legendary, and they're really good, and they had long cooldowns, so now they're not as long, but they're still there. I think that's fair. I don't think everything in the game has to be cooldown based, or everything has to be chance based. And obviously the majority are now chance based. We'll see how that plays out. We'll see how it feels. We'll see if I can keep hitting my mic during this recording. Okay. Bug fixes, a couple bugs. Obviously, no fun running into bugs. So if you find them, report them in the Discord. There's an entire channel dedicated to it. I'm pointing to my monitor that's off screen, but I have Discord pulled up. There's a bugs channel in the Crap Champions Discord, so click the link in the description. So yeah, that's the main points, man. This is a crazy large dev update for this game. I know. I felt it. I know you guys may have felt it. The game needed some big changes. It had been in the last build for almost 2 months, and here they finally are. We have a ranked system, a run modifier system, generic account levels, and tons of new enemies, items, and massive balance changes with the switch to mostly percentage chance-based items. The game feels different. That's all there is to it. Feels like a better game, obviously, but it just feels different. There's so much more replayability in an already crazy replayable game, given that it's a roguelike. So hopefully you guys are really enjoying this patch and this update so far. If you are, man, let me know in the comments. Let me know what else you would like to see changed, and maybe I can pass that on to Noisestorm. That's all I got, man. Thank you guys for hanging out. Thanks for watching. Please, as I get closer to you, consider liking the video if you made it this far. Obviously you liked what I had to say. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on future dev updates, build guides, or just general guides and crazy challenge runs. And hopefully I see you in the next one. Take care. See ya.